So here we are. You've got your first job coming up, and you need to get your content ready before you start. So I've got some tips, tricks that will help you get yourself in the right frame of mind and know where to start when you're trying to get your content, because it's very daunting saying I've got 180 days of class to fill with these students. If you've got multiple preps, that's 300, 600 days worth of class you need to fill. And so getting these priorities straight is very important. So the first thing you should do is get to know what your predecessor did. You know, see what they did. If you can use what they used at least a little bit, you've kind of hit the jackpot. I've never been able to use anything my predecessors left me, even though they've handed me a lot of materials that they thought they were handing me the world. It didn't fit my style. It wasn't going to work for me, and so I wasn't able to use any of it. When I moved from a science teacher into an innovative arts position, I thought I was giving the person that came after me the world, and she didn't use any of it because it didn't match what she wanted to do. And so that's kind of the way it ends up going. When you're starting to plan what you're going to be doing, take a look at what your predecessor did, decide what of that you're going to use, and from there start reverse planning the whole year out. So say, okay, I want to cover these things at the beginning, then these things, and chunk out the year in terms of units or whatever you want to call them. If you have got 5 big units, you'll probably have 5 tests then, and maybe start saying what's going to be on this test, what's going to be on this test, what's going to be this test, and then you can start breaking into sections based on what's going to be assessed at the end of that. At this point, though, make a folder system that reflects your units and your sections and your... I don't understand teachers that don't have any sort of organization system. As you're building things that first year, you're going to want to have a place to save it so you'll know where it is the next year. If you're working in Unit 1, Section 2, that should be the folder you're in. Unit 1 folder has a Section 1 folder, a Section 2, all that. Put it right there so you know exactly where it is next year. Have a folder system and get yourself organized before you start, because you're going to want to get back and reuse your own stuff. As you're planning out your year, don't be afraid to do the things that you love in your content area. It's the things that make you unique, that helps your kids connect to you, even though it's going to take longer than you probably have time for, because we have so many standards to get through as teachers. Make sure you make time for the things that you love about your subject area. That's one of the regrets of mine, is that I cut those things because I was so worried about this test. Well, I was a worse teacher for it. So plan those out at this point. Here's a little tip about getting ready in your content area. Worksheets really aren't all that effective. The reason they're so popular, the reason they're used so much, is because worksheets are easy to store, easy to print, easy to hand out, easy to grade. They're just easy. They're not necessarily the best tool for what we're trying to do as teachers, though. And so you're going to need to find a balance, because you'll probably end up using them. I know I did, even though I knew they weren't the greatest. Between having kids making things that are high quality, showing their understanding, and the worksheets that are easy to come by, easy to make, easy to use. So if no one's mentioned that to you before, now you've heard it from me. Worksheets, kids don't learn a lot from them. What would be better is giving them a blank sheet of paper saying, hey, draw what we just learned in this unit. And you'll see a lot of kids, but as they struggle through that, they'll actually have to understand something. Anyway, I mentioned in the first or second video that frequent daily assignments are a mistake. They just pile up on you, the missing work. Oh, it's awful. So larger, less frequent assignments make it easier to maintain. And if you're planning a unit out, maybe you've got one homework assignment per section. If that homework assignment has 3 different activities in it, that's fine. You'd rather give out an assignment with 3 activities, because the 3 kids who are gone, they'll get it the next day and they'll hear about it and they'll be able to make it up, instead of handing out the first activity and then you've got to re-explain that to those 3 kids, and now those 3 kids are late and you've got 5 kids who are missing it. It's a mess. Group your assignments into chunks. Next tip about homework. I love doing concurrent homework assignments and projects. So what I would do is I'd have a project going over a whole section, and I'd have a homework assignment that would kind of intersect two sections. And so at any given time, there would be about two things that my kids should be working on. It was so convenient to say, okay, we're going to spend half a class learning about this thing. As soon as we're done, go to work. And then they'd have two different things to work on. And it's so much better than giving them, okay, we're going to do this today. Some kids won't take it seriously today, so they'll be missing it tomorrow. You'll have to hassle with them tomorrow. Some kids will be missing. It's better just have long-term, larger assignments, and you can overlap them. You can start this assignment, have it go until next week Friday. Well, on Wednesday, we start the next one, or we start the unit, the lab, the long-term project that will go even past that. And then kids will have multiple things to work on throughout the week. Then if you have a sick day, it's easy. Work on this, work on that. That should cover the day. It's so much better than trying to piece together every single minute, every single day. The very last tip about getting your content ready is remember that outside class is great. Getting outside of your room, going for a walk. If you've got a trail nearby, find a reason to get out there and just spend a quarter of your class time walking to it, half your class time, teaching, reading, doing whatever, and then a quarter of your class time walking back. That's allowed. It's nice. So that's my advice for getting your content ready before you even start teaching.